Well, continuing my look at the announced projects from James Gunn's DCU. Looked at Lanterns and Superman, and then, hey, what are they going to do with Batman and whenever that's supposed to come out? Don't know. The only sure date that we got was for the Superman movie. So he announced it will be called The Brave and the Bold. Now, that's an old title of team-up stories that Batman would team up with other DC characters that would guest star in it. So it was basically like Marvel team up over at Marvel, where Spider-Man teamed up with everybody else. You know, other heroes would show up in it and team up with him. And then DC Comics Presents was a team up book featuring Superman and whoever else showed up in that book. So it's kind of basically all it was. And then they did a very targeted at young children series of Brave and the Bold. Much more light-hearted, silly take on Batman, and he would team up with other superheroes from the DC lineup in that series. I doubt that this will have any relation to that version. He's basing it on the Batman and Robin series that Grant Morrison did. Now, right off the bat, hey, what's wrong with this picture? No, it's not that Robin's about ready to cut Batman's head off. It does speak to Damian Wayne, which is now, I don't know, the fourth or fifth Robin, give or take. So this jumps quite a bit ahead. He did reference the Batman family would be established, and that includes a lot of people, especially several ex-Robins, including the main Robin, which was Dick Grayson, who's never really gotten a good cinematic interpretation. I guess the only one you get is Batman Forever with Chris O'Donnell and Val Kilmer in that role. And then, of course, they followed that up with George Clooney and the Batman and Robin, and it was just a terrible film. Nobody likes it. And then there was the guy, I'm sorry I'm blanking on his name, for the Titan series, who was just wasted on that series. They should have just made a Nightwing series out of that. So you never really, I guess it's just not ever going to happen. Because now we're going to jump ahead to Damian Wayne, because James Gunn likes him because he's a little brat, a little a-hole. But basically, he has a lot of the dark edges that Bruce Wayne has. I mean, he is his son. He was raised by Ra's al Ghul's League of Shadows. So, yeah, he never really had a chance. But, no, what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with it is this is not Bruce Wayne in the costume. This series, which actually was pretty good, and the setup of it was on the premise that Bruce Wayne had died, that Darkseid had killed Batman at the end of Final Crisis, and Dick Grayson rose to the occasion to take over the mantle of Batman, and then Damian became his Robin. Of course, spoiler, Bruce Wayne was not dead. He had been sent back into the past, and that was another story. It was really over the top and weird, but, you know, that's Grant Morrison for you. But anyway, this series had a very good run. It continued on when Bruce Wayne came back, but to my way of looking at it, they probably should have made this like an Elseworld story thing, in a world where Bruce Wayne had died and Dick Grayson followed in his footsteps as Batman. Because the thing of it was Dick Grayson was very much like Batman was before Frank Miller turned him completely into, a dark, brooding a-hole type guy. It's understandable, what he suffered and all that, and it works in a lot of ways. But he was a nicer guy, certainly sociably, before that. And it was kind of odd. It was like Dick Grayson was very much like that guy when he was Batman. But the dynamic was that now Robin, instead of being the happy-go-lucky, wisecracking, nicer guy of the two, it was the opposite. Now Robin was, rather disturbing and dark, considering what his upbringing had been to that point. And Batman and Dick Grayson had to rein him in. And, of course, Dick Grayson is not like Bruce Wayne. His social skills are much better. He's a nicer guy. And so it was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic between the two. And actually, through the course of that, which it came to an end, I think they probably should have just gone back to Tim Drake being Robin and Damian Wayne taking on another name and becoming the sidekick to Nightwing. Because in a lot of ways, Dick Grayson is probably a better father to Damian. Because the thing about Bruce Wayne and Damian is there's too much alike. And but there's also interesting things there where this, Bruce Wayne becomes a better man because of his son and that kind of thing. So that's true as well. And I'm sure that's probably how they'll approach it. But so you're really not going to get the story that they picked this image here from that series, which was good. I do recommend it. It's a good romp, but it comes to an end. Yeah, that's not. So I guess some elements of it would be applied, and maybe the Bruce Wayne will be, have because he's going to have matured, which is interesting considering they insist on a younger Superman. So now once again we'll have an older Batman who's had a career before Superman, which that's not the story. I mean, I know they see Crisis on Infinite Earths, as cool as it was, did kind of mess up things to where eventually they had to say, oh, well, the Justice Society happened in World War II. It just predates Superman's arrival and stuff. Well, okay, but that means like Superman's arrival is not that big of a deal because they've seen stuff like Superman for decades before he shows up. So it's kind of like, well, the superhero era kind of closed for a while. No. Doesn't work. That was one of the things they got right about New 52 was establishing that Superman was the first superhero, even though, as you went through, there was history of magic and stuff like that going on. But it kind of messes that up. And it was better with just saying, well, the World War II version of the superheroes happened on another Earth like they had established. That's all that was for. And then that's it. It's like Earth 2 would be the only other one you would pay attention to more than the others. The others would just be these little fun Elseworld stories. And then keep it simple like that. But just whatever. It's kind of too late now. But the idea of Batman and Superman being contemporaries and stuff is kind of broken up by this. I mean, that's pretty much what Zack Snyder did. He had a younger Superman and a Batman who had been Batman for 20 years up to that point with Ben Affleck's Batman. So it's like, what are you doing? and of course, the latest rumor, it's a Grace Randolph rumor, so who knows? But that she doesn't come right out and say it, but by the images she put up suggests that Christian Bale will come back. Not entirely. It says that he more than likely has a cameo in the Flash movie. But the thing of it is that they had to keep reshooting the ending. Certainly from the original ending where Michael Keaton continues on as Batman in other movies as they establish their new direction. Well, that's all been scrapped. So he won't be there. So then they brought in Ben Affleck. And then, of course, Henry Cavill did some cameos and Gal Gadot did for the ending. Gal Gadot is still in it at the beginning, I believe, and so is Affleck. But at the ending, it establishes, he's back to the same standards that DCEU had established. But now, no, they'll scrap that. And now the idea is that Christian Bale will appear as Batman as the world has changed. And for that to fit in, rather than just have Christian Bale do an alternate universe cameo, like Keaton and the other scenes they're going to have where he sees Christopher Reeve and stuff like that. But no, this seems to suggest that he's sticking around, and so that he would be this father to Damian, which that's quite a few years has already gone by in this brand new DCU for Batman, for the Batman part of it anyway, and which doesn't really fit in with how the stories were told in the comics and everything. So it's still quite the mess. So that's where they're going. This also differentiates it from the Matt Reeves Batman with Pattinson, so that it's going to be this father and son story. which on some levels can work, but as far as an overall DC story, I don't think so. But well, what are you gonna do? So, guys, this is the introduction of DCU's Batman. It is not Robert Pattinson. It is not Ben Affleck. We're working with Robert on the Batman Part 2 with Matt Reeves, and we're working with Ben Affleck, who has been a part of our team trying to bring things together. And really wants to direct one of our projects. We're excited for him to do that. At the time, I thought, oh, is he going to direct a Batman movie? Doesn't sound like it here lately, but who knows. So anyways, Damian Wayne, who's his favorite Robin. He's not my favorite Robin. But, yeah, you get some interesting stuff out of him. But I think he should have been Nightwing's sidekick, you know. Anyway, Saffron, this is going to feature other members of the extended Bat family. So they'll explore that. But it's curious they would pick this one. Because Damian has been Bruce Wayne's Robin for a long time now, but you went to this. So I'm guessing that their new Batman will be closer to this version, even though it wasn't Bruce Wayne, but it will be Bruce Wayne in the movie, I guess. Or they just haven't really thought it through at all. I don't know. But and there's problems with this. But, you know, if it's a fun movie, then yeah, I guess it'll work. But the disappointments are lining up a lot more than not for me on this. But it is early, so just got to hope for the best, I guess.